Hello and welcome back to All the Dice. I am so excited you're here for episode 5 of our D&D for Beginners series. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the entire game. I'm talking about the one single elegant secret that makes everything click. And trust me, once you see it, you'll feel like you have the key to the whole kingdom. So let's be real. If you've ever picked up a player's handbook, you know what I'm talking about. It's a big book. You see hundreds of pages, and it's so easy to think, oh no, how am I ever going to learn all of this? It really does look like this giant, impossible mountain of rules you have to memorize. But what if I told you that's all just a clever illusion? What if almost every single rule in that entire book is just a different flavor of one simple, incredibly powerful idea? Well, that is exactly the secret we're unlocking today. So let's get right into it. This is what I like to call the master mechanic. See, the true heart of Dungeons & Dragons isn't a book at all. It's this little guy right here, the 20-sided die, the D20. I want you to think of the D20 as the engine of fate. It's the heartbeat of the game. Anytime your character tries to do something where the outcome isn't a sure thing, leaping across a chasm, trying to charm a royal guard, or, yes, swinging a sword at a monster, this is the die you roll to find out what happens. And here's the magic. It almost always follows this exact same, simple, three-step formula. First, you roll the D20. That's pure chance, right? Second, you add a special number that represents your character's skill in that area. And third, you see if your total beats a target number set by the Dungeon Master, which is just a number representing how hard the task is. That's it. I'm not kidding, that's the whole game in a nutshell. Okay, so let's zoom in on that second step. Add your modifier. Where in the world does that number come from? Well, it comes from the very essence of your character, their raw, built-in potential. In D&D, every character, every monster, everybody is basically defined by 6 core stats, or ability scores. Think of these like your character's DNA. Strength is your raw muscle. Dexterity is your nimbleness. Constitution is your toughness. Intelligence is book smarts. Wisdom is street smarts. And charisma is your force of personality. These are the building blocks of who you are. But here is the most important part, so listen close. You almost never use that big score itself. Instead, that score gives you a smaller, much more important number, and that's called your modifier. This is a number that you actually add to your D20 roll. It's how your raw potential actually gets applied in the moment. And the logic here is super simple, super intuitive. If you have a high score in something, you get a positive modifier, a nice little bonus. If you have a low score, you get a negative modifier, a penalty. So a super strong barbarian gets a plus on their roll to kick down a door, while a clumsy wizard might get a minus. Makes sense, right? But wait, it's not just about what you're good at. The world itself plays a part, right? What happens if you have help, or maybe the conditions are just awful? Well, the game has this beautiful, incredibly simple system for just tilting the scales of fate. Exactly. Your character's skill isn't the only thing at play. The story and the situation you're in can shift the odds dramatically. I mean, trying to climb a sheer cliff during a rainstorm is way harder than doing it on a sunny day. So the game has this perfect way to give fate that little nudge. And this is it. It's called advantage and disadvantage, and it is brilliant. If the situation gives you an edge, the odds are in your favor, you have advantage. That means you get to roll 2 d20s and take the higher number. Awesome. But if you're facing a major hurdle, you have disadvantage. You still roll 2 d20s, but you have to use the lower result. It's just so elegant, and it handles any situation without needing any complicated math. Okay, deep breath. Let's put it all together now. This is the moment it all clicks. Let's see how this one core idea, this master mechanic, is the engine behind literally everything you can do in this game. So, you want to swing a big sword at a terrifying dragon? That's called an attack roll. What do? You roll a d20, you add your strength modifier for hitting hard, and you try to beat the dragon's armor class. That's just the fancy name for the target number to hit it. See, it's our formula. How about trying to pick a really complicated trapped lock? Well, that's an ability check. You roll that d20, you add your dexterity modifier because you're being nimble, and you try to beat the target number set for that lock. You're seeing the pattern now, aren't you? It's the same thing. What if you need to convince a really stubborn king to help you on your quest? That's just another ability check, but this time it's for a social situation. You roll that d20, you add your charisma modifier, and you see if your result is high enough to change his mind. Same system, different context. And what if some evil wizard throws a fireball right at you? You gotta resist it. That's called a saving throw. And what do? You guessed it. You roll a d20, you add a modifier like your dexterity to dodge, and you try to beat the wizard's target number. Even defending yourself uses the exact same core mechanic. You see, attacking, picking locks, talking your way out of trouble, dodging spells, it's all the same beautiful system. Roll the d20, add your little modifier, and try to beat a target number. That's the secret. And just like that, you get it. You don't have to memorize a mountain of rules anymore. You just have to understand this one central idea. And by understanding this, you've honestly unlocked the code to the entire game. You now know how to play D&D. See, the rules were never meant to be a barrier. They're just a tool, a framework to help us answer the exciting question, what happens next? So the only real question left for you is, now that you know the secret, what kind of story are you going to tell? And that's all we have time for today. If this helped finally make the rules of D&D click for you, please do me a favor and hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to All the Dice so you don't miss the next part of our beginner series. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited to try in your first game. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.